cheers, guys.
It's all about consistency, right?
Good to know. And cheers also to the first building permit issued in Malibu.
Yeah,
we have machinery on site. Things are going. Yeah, things are going. So what say you guys? I mean, first permit does it mean the floodgates are opening? What's happening?
Somebody say something nice to start. And then
Well, I hope that means the floodgates are opening, and it's good that it's on the beach. It's kind of, we wouldn't say the center of the burn zone, but it is in the middle rather than the end. And everybody who's driving on PCH from LA to Malibu will see it. I think that's good for morale, that all the passersby are going to see there is construction happening. Malibu's rebuilding. It will be back to what it was and better.
And you saw a picture today, right? Of it's happening.
Yeah.
There you go.
And it's just Carbon Beach.
Yeah, it's right in front of the fire department station.
Yeah, across from the fire department, so they can watch and make sure no combustible activity. Yes.
So everybody sees that it is actually possible to get a
And a beach house too. And a beach house. That was probably a good one. Like it's one of the tougher ones, right?
Yeah. Yeah. So good things.
So what do we know about this guy? I mean, was he on it? Like, any insights? Like how
We can assume on Carbon Beach with the size of the lot, he's probably a deep-pocketed individual. We've heard that he wanted to go quick and he was on it. He apparently had plans kind of ready to go. I don't know if he was planning a remodel or something like that. So he was ahead of everybody. He turned in his plans, as we've heard, before the end of January. And today, actually, as we're recording, this is the 7-month anniversary of the Palisades fire. He got his permit last week. So let's say it was a 6-month process for him, a little bit more. He's got funds. I'm saying he. I think that's what I've heard. It's a he, but I don't know who they are. He's got funds and he had motivation, and he basically said yes to every single thing that the city wanted. No pushback. No, can we find a middle ground here? No, he said yes to everything, and it took him 6 months. And he had plans ready to go.
Do we know if it was like for like or like for like plus 10%?
I don't think we know.
I don't know.
I think you can look it up, but I tried to, and it disappeared from the Malibu Rebuild's website. I asked the city about it, and they said they'll look into whether or not they want to keep permits issued on the website. I think their current policy is to take them off once the permit is issued. So you can't look up the permit number anymore.
I think that the key, if you do only like for like, that's fast track for sure. I just wonder, did they have a wave upright study ready already? Because those take time.
So yeah, he may have had the coastal engineer look at it last year because they were doing this remodel, and that study would still be applicable, right? Because the tides aren't changing within a year.
Also, if he was the first of everybody from the beginning working on this, I think the coastal engineers, they're really only a handful that work in Malibu. They would have been available to do a wave up.
They weren't backed up anywhere. They weren't as backed up as they are now.
So he might have.
I don't think they should be backed up at all. I don't think we should even need a coastal engineer. We're not changing septic. Why do you need a coastal engineer?
So
I could look at the tides for
well, can you plan the tsunamis?
the 1 foot ones, yeah.
The 1 foot ones, that's right. So a little bit of a mixed review there, right? I mean, the headline is good, but when you peel the onion, the story isn't all that exciting.
I'm hopeful that they broke the ice psychologically at the building department, and this will allow them. I bet they crossed every I and crossed every T and dotted every I with this one, but it's done, and maybe they can go a little faster now and not be so precious about every review.
It's true. The dam has broken, so to speak, and all their apprehension, if there is any, should have gone with that flow of permits, and maybe we see more now.
And what about this this news that we read today? Somebody buying out $65 million worth of stuff already. Somebody said 12 lots were bought out. Somebody said 18 lots were bought out.
all those rumors.
All those rumors is a little bit unnerving, right? I mean, that's what we feared about at the start of all this is actually happening.
The question is, are we going to see vacation homes built, or are there families moving in who are going to send their kids to Webster Elementary?
I don't think anybody is looking to buy 18 lots for their family.
Well, the question is who he sells the houses to, right?
Exactly. Who's going to be the buyer?
And is there any rule against short-term rentals? I mean, is he building spec houses for short-term rental purposes or for selling purposes?
Well-
I don't know. And is he going to hire a good architect or some idiot architect?
Well-
going to put pretty houses up or horrifically ugly houses?
Okay, on that one, I'm going to assume that they're going to be
Darren's
the money
definition of pretty is the concrete block.
with the money he's dropping. They're going
black
to be pretty. Now,
shutters.
what
Yeah,
I would
brutalist is pretty.
what I don't mind brutalism, but what I don't
Need a
want to
couple of
see
graffitis on there.
is cookie cutter houses. One of the things I love, and that is maybe a danger if you have one buyer who's going to hire one architect.
So I see two good things and bad things. Good thing for this buyer is the economy of a scale, being able to share and distribute cost and stage
worried about
construction. but think about it. If how many lots did this
I don't
person
know, I
have?
mean,
12?
12 to 18.
This
right?
person's
I've heard
gonna want to
14.
build fast. No custom stuff. Like it's gonna go for it. It's gonna finish it.
So that's
This means
the good
that
thing.
12 homes are gonna be rebuilt.
Tract
As-
homes on PCH.
12 of them.
Well, look, with
that's
18,
a
he
good
owns what 5% or some number like that, right? Of all the
Yeah.
total number of houses. that are
5% of the
from-
beachfront lots.
Well, let me
5% of
say,
beachfront lots.
this article you're referring to indicated the realtor working on these deals said that the goal was to buy lots of a certain size because those would be the best for flipping and reselling. But what that indicates to me is that this person is not planning to combine a lot of lots a la Larry Ellison and make these gargantuan structures. These will be plus 10% rebuilds probably to go faster and then resold. So that's,
So not necessarily a bad thing then.
If it gets construction moving and momentum for the city, it's not a bad thing.
But we agree that we prefer the original fire victims to be the ones who rebuild and move back.
Yeah,
and keep it the same community that there was before.
I mean,
I mean,
we don't
the-
know who the sellers were. Maybe they didn't have the wherewithal to rebuild.
Or maybe they
Maybe
were
they
one
were
of
just
these
like screw Malibu, like
these
you're-
investment people.
I don't think we're in the fire sale mode yet. I mean, I've been looking at what's been happening in Palisades. There's movement and things like that, and there are plenty of lots for sale out in the Palisades as well, just like in Malibu. But it's not like people are selling them at a nothing price either, right? I mean, I think people are sort of holding on to it. So I don't know. What are you
Maybe
guys
next year, most likely. 2026, 2027, spiking
spike in what?
in sales.
In sales,
So,
and the
100%.
prices and the prices will drop. You think?
I don't know, offer and demand. But that's what happened during Woolsey. So
Really? So there's a 2-year kind of delay, and then a lot of
What
people
drove
sold.
the delay?
well, there's the trauma of the fire victim being paralyzed, not knowing what to do, and then making an executive decision. And those decisions happened. It takes some time, and then figuring out the insurance, like it's just too hard.
Figuring out that this is not for me.
And
Exactly.
also for figuring out a reality of actually I don't have the money. The insurance is not paying me enough. I inherited the home and I just
There's
can't
no
do it.
legal settlement coming anytime soon, because that's the other thing I heard after Woolsey, right? Is that it was in two distinct humps, where there was an initial thrust of bills, and then a few years later, when the settlement came, there was another big hump of
I
rebuilds.
sold the gate to someone who built with the lawsuit money a few years after, and he's just now finishing it off.
How would this sewer thing play out with all the beachfront
Well,
properties?
this-
I mean, it looks like it could become reality from a pipe dream for a while. That is a real possibility, yeah?
So Darren and
That's
Danny,
indeed.
you guys are beachfront owners.
Yeah.
What do you think?
I think it's kind of amazing that we're on the precipice of potentially actually doing this. It was floated in probably February as an idea. Now might be the time, but Malibu has this history of being so anti-sewer. In fact, I think the city incorporated in 1991 to prevent the county from putting in a sewer. But people's attitudes have changed. The fire presents a unique circumstance. Also, I think they've realized that becoming a city has not protected them from putting in a sewer. The water board said, Central Malibu, you're getting a sewer, or we're going to sue you. And so Malibu got a sewer, and it's rolling out. They've done a phase 1. Phase 2 has been delayed, but it's coming to the colony and Malibu Road, and then there's a phase 3. And before phase 3, the water board's supposed to test to see if the nitrogen levels have dropped, which, by the way, they won't, because there is some science to say it's not humans, certainly not the beach owners, causing these nitrogen spikes.
All
It's
those
the birds. If you ever walk down to...
Andy Lyon was talking.
You blame it on the birds.
Yeah.
If
Might
you
as
get-
well.
If you get out to Surfrider Beach any time of the day and you see those pelicans, thousands of pelicans and seagulls.
Or what about those cormorants right in Cross Creek Village on that tree? There's like that tree in the middle of the mall on Cross Creek. It's white because there's cormorants all on every day,
Yes,
all day.
right.
There's like a circle perimeter around the tree, and from half a block away, you can smell their droppings.
But it's beautiful there.
Yeah, you know, I suppose. But back to the sewer question. I mean, I'd say I also think the Phase 1 sewer has had a great effect on Central Malibu, considering the vendors there aren't having problems with sewage disposal like some bars or restaurants that are on septic. I mean, I love Dreamland, for instance, and I love that biker bar up at County Line.
Yeah,
But
Neptune's
both of
Net.
those have horrific
Yeah.
bathroom problems because they don't have capacity.
Neptune's Net has porta potties.
There's
Yeah, and
there's
it's,
a
like,
smell.
disgusting
There's a
Neptune's
distinct
Net.
smell that no longer exists when you're in the shopping centers of Central Malibu.
Because there's a sewage
Beautiful.
line, and it makes everything cleaner for the users of the buildings. And that will ring true if a sewer is built in East Malibu. All the homeowners who tap into it, they won't have any issues with septic disposal or pumping or any of the current issues that we now have.
Oh,
So I'm all for the sewer.
I'm all for the sewer too. I think one concern that's always brought up is that, especially from the council, certain council members, they don't want commercialization and hotels to be put in, especially in that kind of Carbon Beach area near the center of town. What I always say is that the lack of a sewer has not prevented that kind of development from happening. We have large multifamily structures on Carbon Beach. We have 60 plus room hotels on Carbon Beach. If somebody wants to build a Hilton, they can build a Hilton on septic tanks. They just string them together. So putting in a sewer is not, that's not the go, no go decision for something like that going up. It's the planning department and the council that can prevent that kind of
And the zoning too. There's not that many parcels zoned for a hotel, so that requires a zone change.
Yeah, there's the specific plan.
I know,
We
it-
hold the specific plan very tightly, don't change it, and you control development with an iron fist, more or less.
So what does it
Cities do it all the time.
So what does it mean in practicality for the rebuilders now, where yes, there is momentum towards sewer, better than we've ever had. Most folks seem to be on board with the program, and yet there are a whole bunch of things to be figured out, including whether Hyperion is the right idea connecting to it, and whether El Segundo can process all of that, where are we going to set up the plants and all this. So a whole bunch of things in plan, and we still don't know the price tag of this all. So in the wake of this, how do you navigate your plans to rebuild?
Well, the price tag is a tricky issue, especially when LADWP gets involved and their annual maintenance fee becomes part of the deal. Because that's what they said when they first presented this. We don't know what they're going to charge for the maintenance of the line. And they can change it on an annual basis and hold us all hostage. But to me, it's still a better alternative than seawall, AOWTS, and that whole nightmare.
Yeah, their sewer fees are regulated. I mean, everybody in LA City has an LADWP sewer fee, and it's modest.
Okay.
How much is that compared to pumping a septic? Pumping a septic you do every 3 years. It's about $550.
$1,000?
No,
Depends on the
You
size.
shouldn't be pumping.
it's going to be more than that. But let's not forget that as it stands now, the city of Malibu's guidance is that every homeowner on the beach, whether they have a working septic or not after the fires, needs to take them out or at least supplement them with a new tank. And these new tanks, these advanced tanks, they have ongoing maintenance costs as well, unlike the old style septic systems. But the big thing that helps rebuilders is putting in a tank, $50,000 to $100,000 installed. It's a little bit cheaper now than it used to be because contractors aren't working around other houses. They can go wherever they want, dig a hole, drop it in.
Until your neighbor builds.
Yes,
Beat your neighbor.
I guess if you're in the first wave. But the city also requires, it's in the code, this is legitimate, that when you upgrade your tank, you also have to build a new seawall to current code to protect that tank. Not to protect your house, just to protect this fancy tank. And those seawall costs are extraordinary. You're pouring concrete down to bedrock on a shallow beach. Bedrock could be 20 plus feet deep, and you could be spending $10,000 a linear foot for these seawalls.
You could also be paying to destroy the beach that is, part of your property. Right? Historically, seawalls have furthered erosion up and down the California coastline. If the whole burn zone has new seawalls,
What is the thesis? I mean, I've always been intrigued. What is the thesis? Why do seawalls
because
erode
we
beaches?
build down to bedrock,
Okay.
and the sand, which currently with tidal action, the sand comes back and forth on a daily basis, and it changes levels vertically throughout the year and the day. Seawalls create this hard perimeter.
This barrier.
It changes the shape of the.
And basically, the sand
why
has
would it-
nowhere to
why
go,
would
so the ocean will sweep it away over time. So, the beautiful beaches in eastern Malibu, in 20 years, if there's seawalls, a concrete barricade preventing that constant ebb and flow of sand, in 20 years, it's just going to be concrete and a deep ravine, and all of our beaches will be gone.
But that's the environmental and public interest.
Is that
argument.
theory or is that?
No, it's
Yeah,
it's
then
true.
proven.
Yeah.
Now back to the question of this sewer navigating that whole landscape to get plans together. So, a homeowner can choose to wait until the sewer decision is made, but if they want to proceed now, if they want to proceed now in the wake of the ambiguity, what is the guidance? What would you guys say they ought to
He
do?
knows because he's doing it.
This is the biggest challenge, right? Like you have to. There has to be a temporary solution.
Absolutely. And even like that's a whole big topic, but even just when you submit your plans to the city, at a certain point they're going to say, "Where's your advanced septic tank plan?" And I'm going to say, "The sewer's coming. What are you talking about?" And they're going to say, "But we require an advanced septic tank plan." But the sewer, I'm not. You want me to spend $20,000 for an engineer to design the placement of some tank that I'm never going to put in?
Exactly.
Like, we need clarity and guidance from the people at top telling the lower level planners, you can ignore this for now, or at least defer it. If this guy took 7 months to get his permit, I mean, what do we dream? 4 months? Like, if they get everything working smoothly, okay, I've got 4 to 5 months. Let's see how the sewer plays out. Defer that decision. Don't make me waste money designing this imaginary system that will never go in.
Right. I think toe the party line along the beach. Every applicant says the same thing. We're waiting for the sewer. We're not designing your AOWTS.
And therefore, you're not going to do a wave uprush study either.
Yeah, sorry, coastal engineers, find another job,
Because we don't need to, right? I mean, the wave uprush is now relegated only to designing your seawalls for the AOWTS systems, and not so much to establish the BLE, because that's determined by the FEMA. That's already decided. So
Look
no
it up
wave
on a
uprush
website.
needed. You look it up on a website.
And add a few feet on top, right? That was one of the.
Yeah, I think so.
Well, the bottom of the structure can't be within that mandated height. So yeah.
Plus 1 foot, and in some cases, someone was telling them to go 5 foot higher.
So that's actually tricky because you can go. I think some applicants were talking. They said their design team suggested they go higher than the BFE. But if every applicant decides to voluntarily go higher, how does that play into the view corridors on the north side of PCH? You can't volunteer to go 8 feet higher than the BFE
Well, I
because
think
you want to.
It has to
can't
be
raise your
minimum Well, you can go up as much as FEMA is making you go up.
Exactly.
Up,
But
right?
you can go up beyond FEMA.
Beyond
Can
the
you?
minimum that FEMA is allowing you to. So if they're voluntarily giving away even more, they're losing height.
So they have to shrink their house.
But going back to what he said, guidance and clarity.
Which is what
we need.
Which is what we're actually doing, because we used to have a floor that was below our driveway level. So here's the garage, you enter and you can go down a floor. Well, now because of FEMA, that floor has to come up. We could put it like 1 foot below the garage, but that would be weird to have one step down. So we're going to raise it to that first levels. We're actually going above voluntarily the BFE,
But you
That's
can't,
too
but
much
you
about
can't
missing what
delay
we
the
into your
height.
plan.
we have to reduce the height of our house, essentially, the volume, the interior
Absolutely,
space by that.
The volume. Okay, so your upper height is, your upper limit is determined, you can't change that, but, you know, you can go up higher than anything.
Most of the houses in my neighborhood, they were built the same. They're single-story beach cottages, right? And so they all were 10 feet tall. And FEMA BFE says we actually don't have to go up at all from PCH, because PCH at our property is 31 feet above sea level. BFE is 19 feet above sea level. So we can go straight out or even down if we want. But what if somebody like my neighbor volunteered to go up just because they want to, because they're scared of the 100-year flood, and they go up? Would their entire house go up?
No.
And then, so they'd be squashed.
The way we understand it, they can only go up if FEMA is making them go up.
Okay.
So for that, they need to demonstrate what was their original lowest structural element and how much that point, that datum has to go up. And that delta is what you can add on top.
Okay. So at least my neighbor won't be towering over our new rebuild.
Your lovable neighbor.
One last thing on this sewer topic. It's great. Like, almost everybody wants it. We do, even if we're warp speed, full speed ahead, we're going to have a couple issues. Some houses are going to get built before that sewer is ready. A lot of people have existing septic tanks that can be certified to work. Great. They don't have an issue for a year or two working on those old systems until they hook up to the sewer. There are neighbors, there are homeowners who either with the fire or debris removal lost their tanks, or their tanks are damaged beyond repair. They are a subset of owners that the city needs to pay attention to. And if we say, great, we're doing the sewer, even if we find funding for the entire sewer, we have to think about those homeowners and give them an interim solution to build their houses and operate their houses and live in their houses for a couple years maybe until that sewer is ready.
So which options do we have? Rob McLeod was meant.
The
had a
temporary
idea.
option is,
Yeah.
well, so there's the Rob McLeod idea, which I don't want to speak for him, but my understanding is that's a shared septic, a temporary septic for many parcels altogether.
And where do you put
And
it?
that somehow would, you know, make it less expensive per parcel.
On PC.
And it would all be under the rebuilds, hoisted above
Ah.
the beach from a superstructure that, you know, is actually holding your home.
So it's hanging,
Yeah, it's essentially hanging in
These should be
spigots.
pumped out, what, every,
but that's
It
FEMA.
depends on the capacity, right? But that's the McLeod idea. And then there's the other ideas, which are just a temporary on-grade.
in the garage.
And one in the garage, I heard.
Yeah, which
So the, you know, back to the first permit, it seems like the pipeline isn't very full from what I understand. There isn't a whole lot. I mean, I looked at the latest numbers, you know, before coming here, and it looks like we still have only just a handful, maybe what, 10 or 11 now in the plan check?
past PV.
Like, well, past PV now, I think the number is
Past planning.
past planning, I think it's 60 plus now.
So that's
Isn't it?
the maximum flow that we can have now in plan.
I know,
right?
but what's in plan check is only maybe like 10 or
10
11
or so.
Right, 10 or so.
Because from the plan approval until you submit to plan check, you
There's
have
more
to
to
work on your plans, right?
The guys in plan check are just getting sort of a second shock, so to speak, where they were just past, you know, PV. There was a celebratory moment, and then they realized, okay, there is a step 2, so we get in it, and then you start to, you know, prepare for it, and you get thrown this list of items that you got to submit. So that's shock number 1. It's like, holy shit, it's a lot of stuff that has to be done. But finally they scramble and put it together. They meet with the city staff, and the city staff accepts their plan and sends it to the consultants, right? I mean, True North in this case. And True North has actually been good about responding within 10 days, I think. That's the rule, is they have to come back within 10 days. But what they're responding is the second shock for a lot of homeowners. You know, I reviewed a couple of comments back, and there were like 95 comments in one case that sent back on a house, by the way, that was in the process of a remodel when it burned down. And so there were plans that were ready to go. And they were originally approved by the same group of people, the same group of consultants. Now, it may not be the same person because this is a large organization, But this person has had to redo all of the plans, send it back, and I was just on the call with him on my drive up here, and it's it's like some 90 plus comments coming back from True North. Now, some of them are nits, like you just have to add some notes here and there and so on and so forth. The problem with that, you still have to send it back to the engineers to do it, and everyone is backlogged. It's not just the architect. The architect, sort of think about it in the context of his building, the architect is almost acting like a GC, but the architects are bringing in several subs, the civil engineer, the grading guy, whatever, the geo. And in each case, if you have to go back to these disciplines who have stamped, now the architect can't make changes to their plans. Even if the architect has access to the CAD files and can actually physically do it, but because it is their stamped plans, the architect can't go change their plans. It has to be done by the people that stamped and signed the plans. And now let's say there's like 17 little changes, notes that have to be added to the plan. You as the homeowner send it back, and then you're not getting a turnaround back within 2 or 3 weeks because somebody else is paying them higher to turn stuff.
Well, let me
around.
ask you this.
I mean, that's just market forces.
This is how it works. Like plan check review, they always give you corrections, even if you have the most perfect.
So is it basically like if you're not deep pockets, then you're kind of like?
Well, I agree with Darren. This kind of stuff is going to happen when you have a system that's so bottlenecked. You can't control it. It's not illegal. It's like if you want to incentivize somebody, pay them more to expedite things.
Or you find a design team that isn't overwhelmed with Malibu applications. And I know that's also a risk.
Well,
bring in a design team from Northern California or
they don't
Phoenix.
want to work in Malibu. It's like it's a select bunch of screwballs who are crazy enough to deal with Malibu.
Masochists.
Like you
Yeah,
know,
yours
you
truly.
know every single.
I like
person.
a good challenge.
When you ask somebody who's your architect, they'll say so and so. You're like, oh yeah, another. Because it's it's 20
small
people.
group.
or
It's a broken
something.
system.
Well, it's like a dozen folks.
But my question is, okay, this crazy list from True North, 100 items. I would almost be okay with that if you tell me there's no further review. Does it go back to True North?
Yeah.
Okay.
And they might find new things.
No,
That's got to stop.
Theoretically,
No.
they're not supposed to find new things.
But
They're
they
only
do.
supposed to
There's always a disclaimer.
address the remark response, and then they can re-remark it. But if there's
Well,
like a portion of the
that's-
plans they missed the first time, they're not supposed to remark on.
There
that
is always a
missed
disclaimer.
it.
There's always a disclaimer that allows them to find new stuff that was missed. There's always a disclaimer when this thing comes back is
Yeah, that's
this was
swell.
not the end. There may be more. Now in reality, if the response is quick enough and you're so lucky to get the same reviewer looking at the file, they're most likely going to look at only the remarks that they made and the corrections on top
if
of
you
it.
resolve them or not.
If you resolve them or not. But the caveat, the key point there is if you respond fast enough.
Because
If
you
you're
keep
not-
their attention span.
You keep their attention.
Are you encountering this with your LA City rebuilds?
No.
I was going to say that in LA County,
No.
they don't give you the same as True North, which is a
Look,
document.
let me give you an
They
example.
give you the list of 192 potential corrections, and they circle the ones.
They don't keep the same staffer on the same application.
Well, it depends.
Most-
If you, most of the time within reason, but if enough time has passed and if there's enough, churn that has happened within their staff, then that can change.
Because that makes it worse for the design team, right? You should always be talking to one person back and forth
Well-
through the comments. Like the way I've always seen it is permitting is a conversation between the architect and engineers for the owner and the planning review staff. And it goes back and forth to the same people, and hopefully it only goes back and forth 2 to 3 times. But if you're changing the recipient of the comment response and it's some new guy, then yeah, that's going to make it
Was it
much
worth in
worse.
a cycle?
In Malibu, it's very frustrating for the normal permits. It takes 3 years average, 3 to 4 years to get a planning approval. 3 years, sorry, for the planning approval for a CDP. And during those 3 years, your planner may have quit or got sick
Or
or
if he quits,
and then you get a new one. The new one starts from scratch.
That
that's
is
the worst.
crazy.
Yeah.
Why does it take 3? This isn't even a fire rebuild.
Well, there was one on Monday that took them 13 years. You got it approved.
Oh yeah, that guy. He
Yeah.
was very,
Yeah.
very proud.
How come
It was a
he
13-year
Yeah.
saga.
But he
that
had to
got
go
through.
through
And the
CEQA
planning
and all
commission
that.
applauded him for being so steadfast in his vision to last 13
So
years.
consistent, no. It was a listen.
Somebody's life.
Cher, the singer, it took her 60 years.
So are we supposed to feel good then that this permit came in 7 months for one guy?
I think it's good
Luis
news.
is,
it shouldn't be that
start,
start.
right? It's a start.
It's better than zero. You know, guys, I'm very critical. I think that one permit is really good news. We should be celebrating.
It's going to be a problem, though, if we can spend a podcast episode talking about every single permit that happens in Malibu.
Now we need to celebrate 100. I have a
In a
permit.
few years,
Like we're gonna know every single person's name on a
We're gonna,
like,
by the time this
there's
is
a
over,
thousand
guys,
to do.
we know their names, we know their
should,
social.
We should invite every person who gets their permit approved and have them share
right,
a
have a
story.
party.
Well, the first
It's
permit,
gonna be one.
they take a photo, and I think the planning commissioner Drew Leonard, he was the first permit from Woolsey.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, and he was about 7.5 months too, if I remember correctly. Look, in LA, this is the contrast, right? I mean, not only are permits coming through faster with fewer comments and things like that, but here's an interesting one. I met this guy this morning, actually. I was on one of the sites where I'm building Palisades, and this guy walks up. He's also started to build on his lot. Now, unlike where I'm building, I ripped out the slab and the foundation, and we're doing everything ground up. He was actually allowed to build on the same foundation. He ran some tests and all that stuff, build on the same foundation. Now, he started framing. So if you go by his lot, the lumber is up. He's already framing, right? And he could because he's keeping the same foundation. But he wanted a change to the exterior perimeter of the thing, and he started framing at risk, not knowing whether they'd approve that change or not. And today it tells me that even that has been approved.
Oh wow!
So he's going. So he's
they
going.
didn't need to underpin the existing foundation to make sure that both.
The lumber is up. The lumber is up. The beams are up. They're putting the hardware now. So
Now, something you said, I want to go back to because it disturbs me. The first permit after Woolsey took approximately 7 months. That's what
yes.
we've heard.
Yeah.
And this one took approximately 7
They're
months.
not, at the moment, we're not tracking any better.
We're on
than
pace with
those.
Woolsey.
In February, they told us, I'm going to get upset. They told us they had learned lessons from Woolsey and they were going to do better. LA City, okay, they're moving. And you know what? They didn't have a come to Jesus moment like Malibu did. We had it in 2018. That was the time, okay, we got to figure this out. We got to figure out how to rebuild a city at scale. In 7 years, they didn't figure it out. They didn't make substantive, effective changes to get people back in their houses quicker. And that's either a failure of the council, the city managers, or the staff, or the systems. But it's a failure. And it should not have happened. And it cannot happen again. We have to fix the system. If not for us, for the people who are going to come next.
There will be a group that comes next, and if it takes until 2032 to get a third or 2/3 of Palisades fire rebuilds done, because that's where Woolsey is right now, right? 2/3?
No, 1/2.
So 7 years, they got half the rebuilds done.
202 CFOs out of 400.
So if it takes until 2032 to get half of these 720 homes rebuilt, yeah, Malibu is going to be totally different.
Look, here's the comeback.
and there
right?
will
I
be
mean,
2
if you-
more fires during that time.
Hopefully not.
If you talk to the city staff, and this is a good question to ask them, they'll say that they have changed the process where it is more burdensome on the planning phase. They're taking more time on the planning and the upfront approvals, where they're vetting out a bunch of things that bid them later on in Woolsey. So
Like that
they'll say
meeting,
that
yeah.
although this process, and I will actually go as far as to say, not only, we're probably a little bit slower at this stage than Woolsey, because I think permit number 60 or so, which was Lester's permit, I think came at around the 11, 12 month time frame. And we don't even have those many in the pipeline to approve. Like if I forecast 11 months, like by the time we head around to Thanksgiving, we'd be lucky if we got 50. We'd be lucky because the pipeline is not even there. So I would go as far as to say that we are probably trailing Woolsey at this point. But the staff is probably going to comment that if you look at the long game, will be built out much faster because Woolsey had to start and stop because a number of things weren't vetted up front, which we are vetting now. So that's one of the lessons that they're saying we have learned. Only time will
Which
tell.
things are we betting right now?
A number of things, regarding the height and the envelope, the bulk, and kind of things.
They invented a new thing, bulk. That's
The
what I
kind of
really
things
did.
that
But they were betting that during Woolsey.
The
There
one
were a
thing I
few-
know they changed was the simultaneous
simultaneous
permitting
reviews.
The option 4.
That's gone.
Phase
But that
two,
was
yes.
only during a year and a half
Yeah.
active during Woolsey.
So that's the line, but at this point, it's not looking all that great. It's
No.
not looking all that great.
And unfortunately, it looks like if they did make these substantive changes and made the planning approval process harder, that actually is just going to end up backfiring because of that engineering and architectural work that has to happen after planning
Right.
approval, which is going to be its own schedule regardless of what the city does. That's
Yeah.
a design team schedule. They need, 3 to 4 months maybe to get all that stuff done, like a geotechnical review. That's going to be
So
3
you
to
can
4
expand your
months.
geo while you get your planning, right?
Yes and no. It depends on the applicant. I mean,
Yeah.
maybe they won't want to until they get a planning
Until
verification.
you can
And then
risk
their
it.
schedule
Yeah.
just keeps
You can
on.
risk it, but a lot of the guys, a lot of the geotech reviewers or engineers, they want to look at the plans, before they offer their recommendations to do
But
it.
you know where you're gonna build because it's a fire.
Where you gonna
So,
build?
but to my example, I'm using the exact same footprint.
Mm-hmm.
So in that case, the geotech would
You could start right now.
No, there's some difference. They need to know the house you're building.
They need to know the loads.
They need to know the loads, how deep you need to go.
No.
If he's adding a floor or he's putting a heavier portion of a structure on an opposite
Well,
side,
They
If
wanna
he's-
they
if
wanna
he's-
draw the
If
sections.
he has sort of like a wide open space where there's going to be, the load is going to be carried at two ends of his slab, then they need to know.
They want to make sure that they have recommendations for
Yes,
that. Yes,
yes.
but your structural engineer needs your soils report to design
That's
the
what I'm saying.
foundation.
So it's kind of
chicken egg
serve
thing.
potatoes.
But you can at the schedule, right? In order to be efficient with the time, there's tasks that you can perform in parallel, and there's tasks that have to be one after the other.
Yeah.
So the task that people should start as they start with the design is the fire department conversation, if you have potential issues with access or water, and then the soils report, if you can. At least have your soils engineer start with the exploration.
and everybody should right now start applying for the fee waiver.
And the
The
field waiver
permit,
too.
because
That's an
right
important one.
because right now, if you start the permitting process, the city will ask you for one of two things: your money or your fee waiver. And if you wait until you apply for your permits, then the city says, "Where's your fee waiver?" And if you don't have it, then you have to go through that process. It may take a week or two, and then you're sitting there dilly-dallying, or you have to pay first and then get reimbursed. And it's going to be a lot of annoyance and upset towards the city, but residents can start doing that right now.
That's a good point. Yeah, that's a good point. Well, guys, I think enough rebuilding. Now let's do some chilling. Sounds good.
Sounds good.